And we are back live. I didn't think I was going to be able to do this show tonight, but Sony went shorter than expected. And there is quite a bit to talk about. We just talked about Bethesda and Square Enix's show, as well as Ubisoft's a couple hours ago. So if you guys, once you finish this podcast off, check that one out to give my, if you want to hear my thoughts on that show, those shows. And man, this is really a tale of two press conferences, is it not? In my opinion, at least. What's going on, everybody in the chat? How's everybody doing? What's up, Almighty Spartan God? What's up, Paul Smith? What's up, Marlesco? What's up, Monkey Punch? Thanks to you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. But honestly, the tale of two press conferences, I couldn't believe what I was watching originally. Now, when I talked about Microsoft press conference, I talked about the presentation and the pacing of the show, which I thought was great. I felt they copied Sony's playbook from like 2015 when it was just game after game after game after game, which is the way I prefer it. I prefer less talking and more, actual gameplay, whether it's trailers or demos. And it seemed like Sony themselves were going for a different approach here. They started off in the Church of Sony. I mean, even Sean Layden was like, "Welcome to the Church of Sony." And I was just like, okay, what are they going for here? Like, I'm sure maybe it's a little bit better for people who are actually there to be in this environment, but watching it really didn't come across as anything special. In fact, the audio seemed to be screwed up, at least on YouTube where I watched it. But they started off with Last of Us 2. And if you guys recall my prediction video, I had that flipped. I thought Spider-Man was going to start and Last of Us was going to end. And they flipped the script on me with Last of Us 2 starting off the show and Spider-Man ending it. Bold choices, but hey, that's what happened when you have great exclusives from amazing developers. You can have them start the show, put them in the middle of the show, or end the show, and just mix them up, and it doesn't really matter because they're all going to be great, right? And The Last of Us 2 presentation, I mean, what else needs to be said about that? Last of Us 2 looks killer, man. I love Last of Us 1. Before God of War, it was my favorite PlayStation game, but God of War not clearly. God of War, I think, is a tad bit better. But I like how there's kind of a competition going in between Sony studios now about which studio is the crown jewel, which one's best, who's putting out the better game. You have Naughty Dog doing the Uncharted games and Last of Us, and they're like, hey, we're number one. But here you have, Sony Santa Monica being like, nah, we're number one. And I'm sure Guerrilla wants the title for that too. So you have kind of a playful competition between all the different studios at Sony to make even better games. So while the beginning segment was a little bit slow, they're at a dance or whatever, and she kisses Ellie, I thought the transition worked really well because you go from this innocent young love kiss right to Ellie cutting the throat of a bad guy, presumably. And then it starts off this whole stealth section, right? Which, is Last of Us. But there was one weird thing that I did notice. It was this like circle on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. I really like a minimalist HUD as close as you can get it. I like just seeing what I'm playing. I don't like seeing too much user interface. So seeing that like little circle was a little bit jarring. You can probably turn that off in the actual game, and it seemed like just like a stealth thing. Like, oh, you're in the foliage, you're in the shadows, and they can't see you. But now you're in the open, and the thing kind of is big. So it's had something to do like that. But then it got into the action parts, and I mean, it looked incredible. A tad bit scripted, in my opinion. That's what we were talking about in the party chat. Some of those things, while looking amazing, felt too much like a scripted segment. which is fine. I don't really have an issue if it is scripted, but there was just a way where she went under the car, which is awesome. The fact that you can prone, the fact that you can get underneath the car, and the character came over and looked under, which I'm sure is pretty real and happens. She shot him in the face, but then the other character that was behind her pulled her out of the car from underneath it. A little bit tad too scripted. And then they started the chase scene, and she grabbed the bottle on the run, and the animation threw it at the other one, grabbed the person, turned him around. He immediately got shot. A little bit too scripted for my tastes. But like I said, that's just a tiny nitpick on what is probably going to be another masterpiece by Naughty Dog. But that was just some of the things I picked up while watching it. And I mean, it looks like Last of Us, does it not? It's going to be an amazing game. One other takeaway from this was no date given, not even a launch window. Maybe they talk more about that tomorrow at their like experience or whatever. But I expected some sort of window. I expected a 2019 or perhaps a 2020, and it just ended. So kind of weird. But we have a couple super chats that I need to shout out here. We got Miguel Gomez. Thanks for the support. He said, Last of Us 2 gameplay looked pretty boring and generic. If it didn't have the title, can you honestly say you would be hyped? Yes, because it looked like a stealth game with some pretty cool action moments. I enjoy games like that. And considering it's Naughty Dog, I know it's going to have top quality cinematics, amazing voice acting, and top tier narrative. I don't know. The stealth stuff really if you can't tell, I love my Splinter Cell. I love what they're doing with the new Tomb Raider focusing on stealth. That stealth aspect of all of Last of Us really kind of appeals to me. So yeah, I would really enjoy it. And the Ravenflow says, you played the first game, Rand. Naughty Dog has mastered reversal systems that look like real life tussles. I know they have. I'm just saying, I think this was kind of just enhanced for the showing. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it wasn't real. I'm just saying it was just more of enhanced for this gameplay demonstration. It looked like real gameplay, just with kind of some like nudges here and there to kind of make it seem a tad bit scripted. But it's really just a nitpick because everything else about Last of Us 2 looks great. But hey, that's just my opinion. I'm an Xbot, as some people say. So I'm sure there are people listening to this are probably like, Rand's damage controlling. It's like, really? Last of Us 2 is like my most anticipated game, or at least one of them. And I cannot wait to play that. I mean, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Sony's exclusives from last year and to going into next year just appeal more to me than Xbox's does. That's just my opinion. So, I mean, you can call me an Xbot all you want and say I'm damage controlling for whatever reason, but this is just what I'm thinking. This is just my thoughts. Just a little bit too scripted, but hey, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was, but that's not the big takeaway. The big takeaway is the game's coming, but we don't know when. When is it coming? Take as long as you need. If it's 2020, I'm cool with it. 2021, whatever. If it's next year, great. Just make the game amazing. And this is where the show kind of went off rails. I'm sure everybody here will agree with me that the beginning of the show, after Last of Us 2, was just freaking weird, right? You have this Church of Sony, them saying they're going to do this a different way. And after they end this segment, they move everybody out of the church. And they go to Sid Shushman or Schumann or whatever his name is, and they're like, oh, we're moving everybody to the next experience of the 4 games. And they just have this kind of conversation at a desk. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are they really going to do this for 4 games? Are we really going to move people from one room to the other room to the other? It was just totally killing the pacing, which is why this is like 2 press conferences. You have the before Room 2 and after Room 2, because then they did a really short trailer for Black Ops 4. They announced that Black Ops 3 is coming to PlayStation now. They showed a trailer for Tetris Effect. They showed a 1-minute trailer or 30-second trailer for Days Gone. They showed a 20-second trailer for Twin Mirror. They showed another trailer saying that Beat Saber is coming to PSVR, and then they showed a trailer for Destiny 2. And literally, those were just done in 5 minutes. it just seemed so weird, especially coming from previous Sony E3s, where they're just like, hey, here are the games, let them roll. And this one was just, I don't know. I put out a poll on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I was like, were they high when they thought of this idea? And it was like, clearly, of course, and yes. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, who thought of this? Why not just have a regular show with what you're showing? Because it's not like they only showed PlayStation stuff. They showed multiplats. The second part of the show, when they got to room 2, was like a typical PlayStation conference, a typical E3 press conference. So I don't know why they had to go to this, experience things in rooms. It just felt incredibly weird, which is why that first segment, which was so jarring, I honestly was thinking like a 6 out of 10. That's how out of the press conference I was. Guys, seriously, Last of Us 2 was so good, but everything else after that, up until Room 2, was so bad. I was surfing Twitter, and I don't really do that during press conferences. And that just should speak to how bored I was watching it. But that's okay, because Room 2, when we got into the next room and we saw those, that grass with the whatever you call it, with the white stems or whatever, I was like, okay, this is going to be Ghosts. And it was Ghosts of Tsushima. And this is where the true press conference really began, because from here on out, Sony was firing on all cylinders. And it seemed like, I don't know, maybe they had other rooms set up and that were like, you were supposed to go to room 3 for Spider-Man and room 4 for Death Stranding. But it was like, okay, the intern designed this room 1 segment, and then the professionals did the second part. It was so weird. It was so weird. But anyways, Ghost of Tsushima. I took some notes here. Amazing scenery and visuals. Did you guys see that? Not only amazing scenery and visuals, but honestly, my first thought, and we all said it at the same time in the party, oh my god, it's Samurai Witcher. That's the first thing I thought of. As soon as he got on his horse to ride, I'm like, oh my god, this is Witcher, but in samurai in Japan. And I'm like, okay. And then you get to the first fight segment, and the leaves are like flowing in the breeze, and the thing just looks incredible. And you get into those fights. Combat kind of resembled a little bit of like the early Assassin's Creeds with quick kills. But my god, dude, I am feeling Ghost of Tsushima, honestly. And you can make fun of me all you want in the chat. You can say whatever you want, but I thought Ghost of Tsushima not only looked better than The Last of Us, I thought Ghost of Tsushima demoed better than The Last of Us. I enjoyed the Ghost of Tsushima segment way more than I enjoyed the segment for Last of Us 2, which should say a lot. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Last of Us is a known quantity. You know exactly what to expect, and what we saw was exactly what we thought we would see. A Last of Us game by Naughty Dog, right? But Ghost of Tsushima was something new. I didn't know what to expect going into it, and it looked better than I thought it would be. The whole grapple hook, the whole cherry blossom trees, the amazing scenery, the quick combat, the slow-mo combat when you drop from the top down and you take out those 3 quick guys, the one-on-one combat with the just incredible backdrop. I was in love with Ghost of Tsushima. I'm serious. This might have leapfrog Last of Us 2 for me. Honestly, no joke. No joke. That's how much I was feeling the game. And then I was like, okay, 2019, end of 2018, no data given. And I'm like, okay, so are these games 2020 and these games 2019? I was like, okay, but I was on the high. I was on the high here. Ghost of Tsushima spoke to me, dude. I've never played a Sucker Punch game again, or I've never played a Sucker Punch game, or let me rephrase that. I played the Sly Cooper games, but I've never played the Infamous games. But dude, Ghost spoke to me, man. I am in love with that game. I can't praise it enough. I can't wait to find out when we're actually going to be playing this. Hopefully it's next year, because I want that game now. And then we went into another game that I was really impressed by, and that's Control from Remedy. I remember a couple people asked me earlier if I felt Remedy's game was going to show up at Sony's press conference. I said it probably could, but eventually I said it wouldn't. Well, I was wrong, and it did show up there, and it looked pretty damn good, and more than, more than anything, it looked like Quantum Break 2. Who else here, when it was watching this trailer from Remedy, who else here thought that it was basically Quantum Break 2 with the female protagonist? It had the same visual look. It almost had the same exact powers. I was like, okay, so they were building Quantum Break 2. Microsoft said, nah, we're not doing it because it didn't sell. And they're like, okay, lol, we'll make it anyways. That's what I was thinking, right? And I'm seeing everybody in the chat here. Type a 1 if you thought that was Quantum Break 2. And a 2 if obviously you didn't. But man, I was like, okay, it's Quantum Break 2. And it honestly looked better. And look, I like Quantum Break. I like Quantum Break 1 a lot. So I am disappointed that we're probably never going to sequel. But then again, the sequel might be right here. We might be getting it next year. So that was pretty cool. Shout out to Eternal Shaddai for the super chat. He says, Ghosts of Tsushima is like a combination of Amanusha and Tenchu mixed. Is an open world samurai, if I'm not mistaken, is a must-have game. I agree with you. It looked like all that stuff. It looked like Witcher to me. It looked like a mishmash of other things, but I was just sold on the setting and the scenery and the graphics and how the game is and how the game at least demoed. For me, Ghost of Tsushima was the star of this show. Hell, you could even argue Ghost of Tsushima is the star of all this E3. When I'm thinking of, and I'll make a list of the top 10, games shown off at E3, this one might be number 1. And that is a surprise to me because I was expecting Last of Us 2 to be number 1, but I was more impressed by Ghost than I was by Last of Us. Shout out to Fonz. What's up, buddy? Thanks for the super chat. And he says, Rand, we're on the same page with Ghost. I'm glad because normally me and you have the same opinions on a lot of games. And Ghost just, it floored me, dude. It honestly floored me. And it floored my buddies as well. Magic and Gopher were watching in party chat. They both were loving it as much as I was. So can't wait to learn more about when we can actually play this game. But after Control, which, hey, PlayStation dudes, I know you made fun of Quantum Break, for a long time. I know you made fun that it was 720p. I don't want to see the PlayStation guys being like, oh, dude, Control looks so cool. Oh, man, I'm so excited for Control by Remedy. You're exposing yourself there. You're exposing yourself. Don't do that. If you weren't with Quantum Break back on the Xbox and you put it down because of its resolution and what it looked like, don't suddenly out the same mouth be like, yo, Control looks hot, man. Did you see that? Because it's basically Quantum Break 2. Don't do that. Save yourself the embarrassment. Another thing I noticed was that Sony wasn't very forthcoming with what was exclusive and what wasn't exclusive. At least I know Microsoft gets a lot of flack for the whole, hey, this is a world premiere. This is an exclusive. This is an exclusive world premiere. This is a console launch exclusive. But at least you can understand, like, exclusive for Microsoft Studio, it's on Xbox only, well, PC as well. But a console exclusive would be like, okay, well, clearly that might come to PlayStation at some other point. And then a world premiere just means, hey, this is the first time anybody's seen any of this stuff. But here, they didn't really say anything, even for their own games. So when they showed off some of these third-party games, a lot of people jumped the gun. I saw some people celebrate that Control was a PlayStation exclusive until, of course, Remedy came out and said, no, it's multiplat. They showed off the Resident Evil 2 remake, which looked amazing as well. It looked way better than it has any right to be. And I'm stoked to play. That's coming out January 25th. I saw people saying that was exclusive as well. Just trying to ride that train. But of course, it's multi-plat. Capcom already put out a trailer for it with all the platforms listed and it's Xbox One X enhanced and stuff like that. So can't wait to play that. Same release date as 2 years ago when they launched Resident Evil 7. Man, Capcom, are they back in it? They really just had Monster Hunter World kind of dominate the beginning of this year. They got Devil May Cry 5 coming out next year, which really looks good. And now they have Resident Evil 2 remake, which comes out early next year. Is Capcom on the rise back up? Are we going to get a Dino Crisis 2 here soon, or Amnesia or something? You got to do something, man. Like, because I feel like you're right there again. You go through these ups and downs where like Capcom's relevant, they're irrelevant, they're good again, they're bad again. And I feel like we're like they just were bad again, and now they're like riding that crest wave back up to putting out some quality stuff. Anyways, shout out to the Ravenflow for the super chat. He says Sony doesn't need buzzwords. Okay, I kind of disagree. They use buzzwords all the time. The hashtag for the gamers. I mean, that's a buzzword. It's also a corporate slogan. And shout out for Bruno GT 1982 for the super chat as well. Thank you for the support. Both super chats. Appreciate it, man. Really do. And then I think the next game was Grover Saves the Universe. I think it was a VR game. I'm not a little sure if it was. I think it was from the Rick and Morty dudes. I've never seen Rick and Morty. I've never even seen an episode. I have no idea what the buzz is all about with them. So when people say Rick and Morty, I kind of just zone out because I don't know what any of that is. But my friend Gopher was laughing, so he must be a Rick and Morty fan. Who knows? And then we had our third trailer for Kingdom Hearts of E3. Microsoft got one, and then Square Enix showed off Microsoft's trailer later the next day. And then Sony got to show off their own trailer, which was featuring Johnny Depp and some of the new worlds and a different remix trailer, which of course they're going to have their own PS4 Pro edition of Kingdom Hearts 3, which looks similar to the Destiny stuff. Milky Way says you haven't watched Rick and Morty, you're not an intellectual. I guess not. I never said I was an intellectual. I'm just, I've never seen it. I don't even know what it is. You can call me like a hipster or something, or just out of touch. I don't really know. Shout out to Irrelevant Native for the super chat. He says Resident Evil 2 is by far the best part of E3. I'm glad it was for you, and I was pretty excited about it. Can't wait to compile my list of the best games shown off. It's going to be a fun list to make. And when I do that video, you guys can make your comments in the comments section about what you thought was the best. But I can't wait to sit down and actually think and order those things. I guess it's also the only place to get the all-in-one package for Kingdom Hearts. They did mention that. I was assuming the PS4 Pro edition, which would be pretty cool. And shout out to Mr. Righteous Fish for the other super chat. Really appreciate it. He says, I think a few of these exclusives will be on PS5 or cross-gen. I believe Sony wants to start next-gen strong to carry over its 80 million user base. Yeah, I mean, next-gen is kind of looming. It's a specter. Microsoft talked about it literally at the end of their show, how they're building the next Xbox. Sony's literally talked about it by saying, we're not talking about it yet, and it's looming. We know it's coming, whether it's 2019 or 2020 or 2021, it's on its way. And I think most of these games are going to be PS4 games. That's not saying they couldn't also be re-released for the PS5 and like definitive editions or whatever. But I'm just kind of curious to see which ones of these games are 2019 and which one of these games are 2020. So after Kingdom Hearts, we went to Death Stranding, which I was kind of confused about because I thought they were going to be having 3 rooms for each one of the 3 PS4 exclusive games. I guess maybe I misheard that. But they stayed in the same thing, and thank God, because the second half of the show was premium. And I honestly am still confused. I said before that I don't want another cryptic trailer. I wanted to see gameplay. And the thing is, it was a gameplay trailer, but it was still cryptic. And shout out for the Indie Gamer for the super chat. Thanks for the support. He says, Rand, you're a legend. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much. And I will try my best to keep up the awesome work. Was anybody else confused about Death Stranding? Even though they showed gameplay of like walking around and carrying a box to and fro up a mountain, across a ledge, over a void, through water. Is anybody still confused about what Death Stranding is? Please type in 1 if you're confused about what Death Stranding is, and type in 2 if you're really fucking confused about what Death Stranding is. So we got gameplay for it, but I still don't understand what the fuck it is. Maybe somebody can explain to me in chat, because I still don't get it. And I wanted to see a proper gameplay trailer to explain what exactly is going on, right? And we got gameplay, but no explanation. Shout out to Bruno for the super chat. He says 1 Microsoft, 2 Bethesda, 3 Sony, 4 Square Enix, 5 EA. So you think Microsoft was the best and Bethesda was second. Thanks for your opinion. And Ben Link says any purchase rumors for Remedy or Alan Wake 2? None that I heard of. I think they're multi-plat. Sorocha wants to know if the games are running on PS4 or PS4 Pro. I would imagine the Pro. I don't know why they wouldn't put it on the better machine, but who really knows? But yeah, I mean, weird stuff. I mean, Kojima is out there. He makes these weird games, but this is the first one where after 3 trailers, right? This is the third one or fourth one. We have no clue. At least you know what Metal Gear is. Like, it can be kind of all over the place, but Metal Gear at the end was a stealth game. This, I don't know. Is it shout out to Laquan Williamson. Is it a package delivery game / walking sim? Are you going to be Are you FedEx? Are you FedEx in the future? Trying to get packages past these other dudes that somehow will drag you into the black abyss. Weird, dude. And I love weird stuff. And I'm still really excited about finding out what Death Stranding is. But, like, I don't know. Like, I can't talk about Death Stranding, and I can't put Death Stranding up there with Last of Us or Ghosts of Tsushima or Spider-Man until I actually see what the hell the game is about. I'm sorry. It's there. It exists. But I can't get I can't put it on the other games because we've seen gameplay and what they actually are. This is just Kojima being weird because he's Kojima. Like, I don't know. Maybe we finally understand what the game is next year at E3, and maybe it comes out in 2020. Who knows? Still confused. And then the next game they showed off was Koei Tecmo, and my buddy Gopher was like, yo, this is Nioh 2. And I'm like, Nioh 2? Didn't it just come out last year? They're really that fast on getting the sequel? And yeah, it was Nioh 2. I was shocked. I'm sure a lot of other people watching were shocked that Nioh 2 is a thing. Although I can't imagine Nioh 2 being like coming out anytime soon. It's got to be some years away at this point. But I haven't played Nioh. I know it's kind of a Dark Souls-iest game. I'm not really the biggest fan of Dark Souls, although Shadows Die Twice did look pretty interesting to me, and I probably will play that game whenever it comes out in 2019. But yeah, Nioh 2 for the people that like it. Shout out to Ben Link. He says, Remedy is why I'm an Xbox fan. Should have bought them. Microsoft had the opportunity. Yeah, maybe if Quantum Break was just, coming out of their game right now. If Quantum Break 1 was coming out, and if Terry Myerson wasn't at Xbox and they were looking to buy studios, maybe Remedy becomes an Xbox studio. Who knows? Maybe it just didn't happen at the right time. Either way, it's still multi-platform, so I know you're an Xbox fan. You're still going to get Control, and it looks pretty damn cool. And then they ended on Spider-Man, which looked awesome. It looked incredible. It was a level in prison, and we got like all these villains, and it looked like the Sinister Six. They showed off the amazing swinging between stuff and a nice little chase segment with Electro. They showed off some combat that looks like Batman Arkham Asylum combat with a lot of air juggles. And honestly, this is going to be weird for me to say, and maybe a lot of you won't agree with me, but if we're going off of just this show and the visuals and the gameplay of Sony's exclusives, number 1 is Ghosts of Tsushima, number 2 Spider-Man, and number 3 is Last of Us 2. So, and it comes out in actually 3 months now. I honestly felt that Last of Us 2 was upstaged by 2 of the other PS4 exclusives. Honestly, I don't know. But then again, I'm a huge fan of the Batman series, so the combat along with the aerial juggling really appeals to me. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so seeing all of his villains out there and the chase sequences and the web singing, I mean, that's just awesome. But then again, I see some people saying that I'm smoking, that I'm high. That's fine. That's just my takeaway. I'm still kind of buzzing after what Sony was showing here. And then they ended it and they went back to Sid and they started talking about, the From Software VR game Deracine. And they showed some more stuff from all the other games and it ended and it was over and it was like literally an hour long. So, I mean, thank you, Sony, for not wasting more of my time. But really, you should probably go back and think about why this show was split up the way it was. Because it was like a 5 out of 10 in the first half, and the second half saved it. The second half was like a 9 out of 10 for me, honestly. It was like a regular E3 showing. I mean, they went from Ghosts of Tsushima to Control to Resident Evil 2 Remake to Grover to Kingdom Hearts to Death Stranding to Nioh to Spider-Man. There wasn't any awkward talking. There wasn't any, oh, we wanted to do something different and have these different rooms for people to go in and blah, 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 blah. It was just game, 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 game. And it was really cool game after cool game after cool game. So you had a 9 and a 5, which is why I'm going to give the conference an overall score of basically like, I mean, it's not like an average weight, but I still feel Xbox had a better show, had a better overall show from top to bottom. And I'm going to give Sony's show like an 8. Based off of the fact that their exclusives look amazing to me. Ghost of Tsushima is like my most anticipated game at this point, and like Spider-Man looks incredible. Sony's exclusives just are not going to say better than Microsoft's, but at least appeal more to me than Microsoft stuff does at this point in time. That's not saying, like that can't change in the future, but my God, like I'm that high on Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man. All the other stuff, the Resident Evil 2 remake and the Control, it really kind of sealed the deal for me. But honestly, if the beginning was better, this would have been tied with Microsoft for me. So 9 for Microsoft, 8 for Sony. The end saved it. And I'm just kind of curious about where these games are, when these games are coming. I'm curious to see the strategy and the release schedule, like what's 2019 and what's 2020. Shout out to the Ravenflow, who says, do you think Xbox's E3 could sell Xboxes in 2018? Do you think Xbox's E3 could sell Xboxes in 2018? Well, they're selling Xboxes right now. I mean, what do you mean? Like, people watch Xbox's E3 and be like, hey, this is a good reason to get an Xbox? I think people get PlayStations and Xboxes because they want to play with their friends in Fortnite. They want to play with their friends in Call of Duty. It's not always just simply about the exclusives, which is why Microsoft, wants people to know, hey, we have these Japanese games coming. We have all the multi-plats. They're going to play better here. I don't know. I mean, that's up to each individual's, like, what you're looking for. If you're a PlayStation owner and did that conference sell you on getting an Xbox? I don't know. I mean, the thing is like, I'm already an Xbox owner and I already play everything on Xbox. So I'm not in a position to tell you like, well, would it have sold one to me if I wasn't? I'm sure there's other channels out there that can tell you all about it, that are PlayStation only channels that will tell you every day and all day about how much Xbox sucks and things like that. I'm not gonna say that. I don't think any of these companies suck at all. Look, it's so nice having all the consoles. I've said this before, but honestly, like, all the stuff Sony sold, all these exclusives, it's just I'll be able to play it on my PlayStation, and I'll play everything else on my Xbox. Like, there's nothing better than that. It was like, whatever I want to play, I'll play it. Because Jay was giving me shit because I put out that Twitter comment, and he was like, "Oh, you're crying." I'm like, crying? I'm gonna get Ghosts of Tsushima and Last of Us Day One and play it on my PS4. Like, was there to who? I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't know. Like, I've always only ever talked about stuff, to what my perspective is, and as far as like Xbox and if they should have sold it to you, I don't know. You tell me, Ravenflow. You tell me. Did Microsoft do enough to sell you something? I don't know. What would be your answer to that? Because I can't answer for you. Um, I'm gonna assume you probably will say no, but yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, bad start, amazing finish, 8 out of 10. Which would mean Microsoft had the best conference top to bottom. Buying those studios really helped it out, and it Sony's conferences basically showed that they have the best exclusives. They proved it again with Last of Us, Ghosts of Tsushima, and Spider-Man. Who the hell knows about that Stranding? Certainly not me. Um, but it seemed, I don't know. It seemed like Sony was a little bit lazy this year. It seemed like they were a little bit complacent in what they wanted to show, because I feel like they are so far ahead at this point, and that they know Xbox is all in for next generation as well. So it almost feels like they don't even need to try anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to put on a good E3 showing because we got this generation in the palm of our hand. They're trying to build exclusives for next gen too, and it's just one of those things where it's just like this gen is over with. We're starting to see some some talk of next generation. The Cyberpunk devs are saying, we already know that that game's kind of cross gen. Who knows if any of these PlayStation games are cross gen, but we're there, and this is just like Sony's never been hesitant about showing you the future of what they're doing. Have they ever? They always like to show you the future 3 to 4 years out. And like they easily could have showed you games that were 3 years away and everybody would have loved it. But they're at that point now with this generation where it's over. They won, they dominated, and it's like, who cares if we have a good showing? Who cares if we don't have to put release dates for any of our games. Everybody just loves our games anyways, and they're gonna be people are gonna anticipate them. So we can just do whatever. Well, on the flip side, Microsoft is fighting hard to win people back, to get people back on the side of Xbox because they know they have to, because next generation is what they're aiming for. So Microsoft has that upward hill to climb. Sony's already at the top of the hill. Like they're there. They're like, we don't got to do shit. Microsoft is like, man, we got to fight for every inch. We got to get people back on board. We got to get people we got to get this people to realize that we're not leaving gaming, we're not dumping Xbox, and we're building first party. They have the tougher struggle. Sony's just up there at the top, king of the mountain, which, hey, they earned it. They won this generation by putting out a cheaper machine that was, more powerful, by coming out with the clear and concise message of, hey, everything's going to be the same. No used games, or used games will work here. No online check-in, no DRM. They won from like E3 2013. It was over. And they've kind of just dominated this entire generation. And Xbox has kind of been, on the comeback trail. And I felt that this Xbox's last E3, the one that we just saw, was kind of the start of that, of like Xbox being like, okay, we need to get this going. And Sony's just up at the top, like, we're the king, baby. We can do whatever the fuck we want because we already won. And it's not time for us to show off next generation yet. But when they do show off next generation, I'd imagine Sony's going to bring it. They won't do this type of conference again. I guarantee you, they will not do this type of conference again. When they're ready to showcase their wares of what the PS5 is and their next exclusives, they'll go back to that game after game after game thing. And Tip Top Dalton says, no, Xbox just loves their fan. What the fuck? It's called loyalty. Did I say Xbox didn't love their fans? I'm just saying Xbox has the harder hill to climb, the road that is, paved with more obstacles because of where the stumbles they took this generation. I don't think I'm like I said, Microsoft has given up on their fans. I'm just saying, like, clearly things Microsoft are doing are for next generation. It's just business at this point in time. It's setting themselves up for next generation, but they still need to convince people that they're going to be around for next generation. They still need to convince people that things are going to be different, and they need first-party studios. That was what E3 was all about, guys. I mean, come on. PlayStation was just, we're here, and our games are awesome. And if you didn't like it, tough. If you liked it, great. I don't know. That's kind of what I got from out from all this. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's really much else to say. I mean, we went over everything. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I'll end it here. I got a busy day tomorrow. I'm going to be making some videos. I have some ideas. The top 10 of E3. It's going to be interesting where I place a lot of games. Probably make a Sony versus Xbox, a video or something. I don't know. I have some ideas. Shout out to the Ravenflow. He says, "I hope Sony puts out as many IPs as last gen." I mean, that's what we should all want: as many IPs as possible. And Sony created some good ones this gen. Hopefully, Microsoft can follow suit with their new studios and have Ninja Theory make some good ones. Maybe a new one from 343. I don't know. Either way, gaming's looking good. There's some great games shown off here at PlayStation and Xboxes. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Give the live stream a thumbs up if you enjoyed the show. Hit that sub button if you're new. The notification bell. You know exactly how I always end all my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And have a good rest of the day. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Later.